In late 2017, more than 3 million people were inoculated in an initial emergency yellow fever vaccination campaign with the aim of quickly containing the outbreak in Nigeria. However, the yellow fever virus continues to move about in different parts of the country where people remain largely unprotected. Now, just last week here, there was an outbreak of yellow fever in Edo State, as confirmed by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. Now, according to World Health Organization, 60,000 people die annually from yellow fever, and with about 900 million Nigerians at risk of this. That's particular, maybe 90 million, I guess, the risk of this disease. Now, what can be done to avert the spread of this disease? What are the symptoms and the vaccination process? There are also questions to what age can take these vaccines, and I'm sure my guests on the program will be letting us into some of these areas. These issues will be discussed today on Nigeria Today. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu. Yes, with me in the studio to discuss yellow fever campaign, at least all its attended issues, I would like to welcome Dr. Joseph Oteri. He's a Director, Special Duties with National Primary Health Care Development Agency. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Also joining Dr. Oteri on set is Dr. Obi Ezebilo. He's a health specialist with UNICEF. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, first things first. We see different presentations these days, hemorrhagic fever here and there. What exactly is yellow fever, and why the attachment of yellow to the fever? Dr. Terry.
Okay, thank you very much. Yellow fever is a viral ailment which can affect anybody, and it presents in any form. It presents like the normal malaria or any other fever, but this one is characterized by yellowness of the eyes or yellowness of the body.
Okay, so that's why we got the yellow.
Yes, because after 2 weeks, the person's eyes, cornea, skin start getting yellow, what we call jaundice. So that is why it is called yellow fever.
Okay. All right, Dr. Ezebilo, any addition to that? How is it spread, and why this upward movement here and there across the country for yellow fever?
Yes, the main vector is what we call mosquito. It's a particular type of mosquito that is called Aedes aegypti. That is not very common everywhere. So if you know, if the main vector of transmission is mosquito, you can imagine how fast it's going to really spread, and that is the major cause. And also coupled with the fact that our routine immunization for yellow fever is suboptimal. Your routine immunization for under 1 children is supposed to like build herd immunity against yellow fever. So the major vector being Aedes aegypti, a particular type of mosquito. I mean, you can't control where a mosquito will be, and also coupled with the fact that our routine immunization is low. In addition to that, we have some precipitating factors that can give rise to yellow fever disease. We can places like deforestation, urbanization, and movement of people up and down, and also just the major cause, also the herd immunity that is low because of the routine immunization coverage, which has been suboptimal. Okay,
even though you said something about yes, you can't control this particular mosquito, you said Aedes
aegypti.
Aedes aegypti
is the type of mosquito.
Okay, is this something common to the tropics, or it has to be something that we have here, or how is it that it's a particular one that has to cause that? And if you say it's not something common as well, how come some of the other fever presentation is okay, particular mosquito, and the Anopheles now breeding in some particular one? So is this one bred in some kind of environmental that has to? Yes,
this particular type of mosquito is common in this region, in areas with forests. Okay. You understand? You can have places like in the South zone, or areas with high forestation. Okay. You understand? A place like DRC, yes, at places like that. So the mosquitoes are just there, but trying to why that particular vector is the carrier of yellow fever virus, I can't really say that. Okay. But Anopheles is the carrier for malaria parasite. Then Aedes aegypti is the carrier for yellow fever virus, which is not just everywhere, but in particular regions, okay, which Nigeria is part of.
All right, Dr. Terry, share with us more you've already started talking about the symptoms, people presenting with fever and some other yellowness to the skin and all of that. Usually at what point, let's say maybe day one, already this person is bitten or whatever means the person had contacted it, what are the kind of presentation should people watch out for?
Okay, it will present like any other, present like malaria.
Yes.
Day one, you have fever, malaria, joint pain, and all the things that you see when you have malaria. But within 2 weeks, or close to 2 weeks, the person becomes jaundice, start having yellowness of the skin, yellowness of the eyes. And if it's not contained at that time, you start bleeding from nostrils, orifices, and stuff. So that's why it is called, it's a hemorrhagic fever. So that is, so is the yellowness that makes it distinct.
From the,
like you mentioned, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is one of the species that actually transmit the yellow fever, is also the one that transmits Zika. It transmits Zika's virus, transmits dengue.
Wow.
And there's other one that is also transmitting Nile fever. So those are the one specific to that particular brand of mosquito.
So well, for anyone now could be vulnerable, that is what it seems.
Yes, but it is it's commoner in this topic, and also in the American, where you have those big forests and the rest of them in Americans as well. Okay,
now let's come down to vaccination, because at the beginning of my introduction, we'll talk about some numbers were actually inoculated as at 2017, but it will appear as if that was just like a little drop for those who will now be suffering it today.
Okay, actually, the size of the country is so big, and yellow fever vaccines are not easily available. And in the global market, we have some quantities allocated for Nigeria, so we have to plan the campaign based on that. But in addition to that, remember we have our under one for 9 months. We are targeting for routine immersion.
Are those ones still free?
No, we give them at 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the major thing is that there's a global shortage of yellow fever vaccines, so we have certain amount allocated to Nigeria. So we have to plan our campaign, preventive campaign based on that. But in addition to that, where we have confirmed cases, we do reactive campaign. So for the 3-point-something million we are talking about, we first had the outbreak in Kwara, Ifelodun, which we developed ICG request, and we reacted. We're targeting people 9 months to 45 years. We also had outbreak in Kogi. We had in Zamfara. So those numbers you're talking about are the people that we reached using reactive campaign because of the outbreak that we had. Then in the beginning of this year, we also went and completed the whole of Kogi, Kwara, and Zamfara with some parts of Borno. So the main thing is that we do campaigns based on vaccine availability, as the vaccines are not really easily available.
So now with this continuous spread from one state to another, is there any need for us to be of great concern? Because you said the vaccines are not readily available. So what happens if we have more than we can contain? Dr. Terry?
Okay, I think though the vaccines are not available, but the international partners have a stockpile of vaccines kept especially for emergencies. So if a state has a confirmed case, like we have a confirmed case in Vandeka LGA in Benue, we've written to them, we've applied to the international group to help us with vaccine for that, and they've approved that. So those vaccines will come, and this country will do a reactive campaign in that LGA. So as you have more confirmed cases, that's how the international group will also be giving us vaccines until we have real vaccines for the whole world that can be used. Nigeria is large. If it was like any other country that is small, all they need to do is just to vaccinate the whole country. In the 80s, that was done. That's why most people are a little bit protected, because they had a vaccine in the 80s when there was a mass campaign nationwide. That is not happening now because of vaccine shortage. But the country will definitely plan for vaccination of her citizens based on the risk available. So we did the risk assessment in 2008, which said countries should plan the campaign over a particular period. But that period that was planned for is now becoming a little bit long, because as you are planning, you are now having cases coming up. Next year, we're planning to vaccinate Edo, Ekiti, Rivers, and Katsina. Those are on the plan. But now Edo is producing the virus.
Exactly, because I was just going to say, we just had the outbreak.
So Edo is producing, Benue is in the plan, Delta, they're all in the plan, but they cannot wait to those years before they get vaccinated. So that's why what we're doing now is reactive for those places that are in the plan. But the bottom line is that once you have adequate number of vaccines, you don't need to wait for this piecemeal approach. You just vaccinate your country.
Okay,
which was done in the 80s.
Okay, talking about vaccination, still back to the question of who can vaccinated like that. Already talked about the ones given to babies at 9 months now. So between 9 months and 45 years. What happens to those who are above, who are not privileged to have been given such vaccines?
Okay, like I mentioned, in the 80s there was a mass vaccination campaign, right? That I'm sure you must have received it at that time. And the risk is more with 9 months to 44, 45 years, because of the fact that most people are already protected. And because of the shortage of vaccine, so we now limited it to this age range. But if we have enough vaccine, not just from vaccinating 60 years.
Okay, so it's not safe, it's just limited to that particular age. Okay, so as for those, if we have other fresh risks coming up based on that.
Yes. Then in addition to that, if you look at the, using the surveillance data, looking at the number of suspected cases that we have, you notice that for age range 1 to 10 years, we have about 40.5%. Then between 11 to 20, we have 22%, 21 to 30, about 19%. Then the rest above 30 is about 18.4%, which is scattered around that. So in addition to what you just said, believing that most people above that age had that vaccine at that time, and also the case fatality rate among that age is lower. You understand? So, and looking at the incidence rate, you see that more cases are within this age group. So that's why we decided to target.
Gentlemen doctors, we go on a break now to bring some views from the streets as they understand what yellow fever is all about, and the campaign, how effective is it for those that have been reached and those yet unreached. You're watching Nigeria Today. Let's go to the streets now.
Don't know about the outbreak, but I know of the vaccination. I've gotten messages on the vaccination, and I think FCT just ended yesterday or so. I'm not too sure, but I know that there's been an awareness from 9 months to 44 years. I got mine in 2014, and I know that it lasts for 10 years.
Yes, actually, because being a scientist, we are supposed to be in the know. I'm in the know of the yellow fever. Yes, I have got it. In fact, the entire of my household, everybody has got it.
Yeah, I was vaccinated on Friday.
What yellow fever is, and I know how dangerous it is to the health. I've been vaccinated against yellow fever, but not because of the current yellow fever outbreak, about 5 years ago. Because of the importance of health, and everyone is trying to have a healthy, life, live a healthy living. So me and my family, we get vaccinated for yellow fever, hepatitis A, and other dangerous diseases.
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay, have you gotten your vaccine?
Yes, I got vaccinated today.
It's a viral disease that just recently broke out in Nigeria, and although we have little knowledge about how it is spreading and what to do, we are also aware that there is need for vaccination, but I am not very sure if majority know where to go for such vaccination. No, I have not. Against yellow fever, I have not.
Oh, good job. At least the awareness is high, at least for those cross-section of Nigerians who spoke to us. But having it all over, it's the ultimate aim, I'm sure. Now, what kind of support? Let's get what kind of support. You already talked about the case in Benue, and you had to at least reach out to the state governments, you said?
Yes, to the state team.
Okay, so what kind of support is being carried out in terms of detailed investigation, at least to check this risk around? What kind of support do you
Okay, okay, that one has been done. Okay, when we have, okay, the process of investigation is like this. When we have a suspected case, when you have a person that are reported with fever and jaundice within 2 weeks, when we have a suspected case reported by the state, we call them the disease surveillance and notification officer. Okay. What we do is that we send out people. The information is given to NCDC, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, who sends a rapid response team. Okay. You understand, where they go there, they see the suspected case, collect sample, and in Nigeria we have reference labs that we do what we call ELISA. If it is positive, we assume it is probable or presumptive, but we send that particular sample to Dakar, Institute de Pasteur, Dakar, which is WHO regional lab. So when it gets to Dakar, they repeat the ELISA, they do PCR, and if it turns positive, they do called PRNT. If it is confirmed, they send the result back to Nigeria, which we are going to use to develop ICG request. So the rapid response team sent by NCDC, they do what we call community survey to know the level of yellow fever coverage in
so meanwhile, why is that person, the sufferer is...
no, the treatment... The person is being treated, but remember, there's no specific definitive treatment for yellow fever. It's just palliative. I have a headache, take Panadol, I'm dehydrated. If the person is not eating and vomiting, they give IV fluid. There's no specific treatment. I can't tell you.
So no drug to actually take?
No. It's a viral disease. Okay. So that is why it's very, very important for people to know.
So in as much as prevented?
If there is no definitive treatment, rather symptomatic treatment, but there's a vaccine that you can take that prevents you from having yellow fever. Just a shot.
So people must take the vaccine.
You just have to go.
That leads me to the next question. Yes, well, people have joked about it that sometimes you need to travel. People need you to see the yellow card, which is an indication that you've been vaccinated or you have taken the yellow fever vaccine now. But for some, there are insinuations that people just go obtain this card without necessarily wanting to be vaccinated and just pay some extra money. How true is this?
Okay, yeah, I don't want to say it is not true because
at least such cases have come
I've been in the airport in Lagos, and I think I was going to South Africa. Somebody came with yellow cards. Wouldn't you want to buy a yellow card to travel? And I was just looking at the whole. I said, well, this is really strange. Well, people do that, but it is not a very good thing because we've seen instances of somebody, a doctor, when we had a binge outbreak in 85, 86, where a lot of people died. There was a doctor that was involved in that investigation. He had the yellow card, but he was not vaccinated. When he came down with the sickness during the process of investigation, they asked him, how far with your yellow fever vaccination status? He said, I have the card, but I was not vaccinated. The doctor finally died. So it's something we don't joke with. People do that, but it's very, very, very wrong. So that's why for this campaign we're doing, once you are vaccinated, they give you the vaccination card, right? That card entitles you to go to a port health and get the yellow card, because that yellow card will contain your batch number, the batch number of the vaccine, expiry date. It is known that you had a proper vaccine. I'm sure you recall we had some problem with South Africa some years back.
Yes, exactly.
What was it caused? Because people who traveled there with yellow cards, that when you check the system, those vaccines were not existing.
So how much of a risk is this for, especially for those who will be within such people's community or at least areas?
It's a very big risk because you are not even helping yourself. Like we've discussed, the case fatality is very high. It doesn't have a cure. So whatever happened, your coming out of it is based on God helping you to come out of these various symptoms. If you are bleeding, they transfuse you. If you don't have water in your body, they rehydrate you. If you have headache, you have fever, all those ones are treated. It's not like malaria, you just take ACT, Amatem, take all those ones and you get better. It's not like so. That is the danger of people not taking the vaccine. So it's a problem which I think mainly by getting enlightened from what we heard from the street, it's obvious many people are now aware of what the yellow fever is all about and what could be the outcome.
So
but the vaccine now is no longer 10 years. It's a lifelong vaccine.
Oh, it's a lifelong. Because I was going to ask if it's still limited to that 10 years.
It's a lifelong vaccine.
So that's for the fresh one being given now?
It's a lifelong vaccine.
Okay.
But what you can do is that your yellow card has a lifespan of 10 years.
Okay.
So you can go back and renew your yellow card.
Okay.
So, but the vaccine is lifelong.
Okay. So for any person who is above 45, by the time you will go around, like you've already pointed out, and they still want to take that, it can still come around now.
No, somebody who wants to travel and he doesn't have he's not sure. He's not sure. Oh. The advice: go and get the vaccine and present your vaccination card to the port.
Okay, now to the most important question. All the questions are actually important. Is this free?
It's free.
So no need to say, okay, you're paying anything, whether private hospital.
It's free. Yellow fever vaccination is free.
Okay, so people can actually walk to any of the health centers.
Walk to any of the
okay.
Because we work hand in hand with the Port Health.
Okay.
For this campaign, the Port Health were part of those that planned it. So that they recognize that each yellow fever vaccination card entitles them to a yellow fever card, a yellow card. So once you get that, you take it to the Port Health, they'll give you a yellow card. Okay. Dr. Isibilo?
So it's just it's free as per no monetary value, but just walk to the center. Either you walk to the site or drive to the site. Just no money, nothing. Maybe you have to sweat a little bit if you have to walk to the post, but there is nothing. Or maybe you have to pay transport, but nobody takes any money from it. Just do a little bit of exercise.
Anyone is trying to
collect, and we will reduce your trekking or your walking, because it's being given at hospitals. And we have what we call temporary feast posts, where you station a team.
Where could those one be?
Motor parks. Okay. We have them in motor parks, bus stops, markets, schools, churches, mosques, and other places where people gather. Now we do night vaccination in some places. So because the greatest age group that normally don't take is this teenage group. So
why are they refusing?
I don't know. They're not interested. But when you go to where they do Bet Niger, where viewing center, you see them, they take them. So we knew those are the places they stay, and we deployed team to those places. And it's been good this time around, because a lot of people, even offices have been phoning, banks will phone. We have over 300 workers. Embassy, we have so number of people who want to vaccinate.
But the campaign, how has it been accepted? At least this present campaign, the reception?
No, the turnout has been very, very massive.
Okay. All right. Dr. Joseph Oteri, Director, Special Duties, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Thank you very much for coming on the program. I also like to appreciate Dr. Obi Ezepilo, Health Specialist with UNICEF. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you, sir.
And that's it on this edition of Nigeria Today. Before we go on to appreciate, of course, you as well already done that with the guests, and also wish you and urge you to go take your vaccine. It's free. Thank you for your time. Nigeria Today returns tomorrow, same time and same station. And you can actually watch this edition or any other edition online at youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Blessing Abu. Enjoy the rest of your day.